Right, guys, welcome back. This is Above Average FPL. My name's Adam, and as always, I'm joined by Baker. Bigger and better, mate. How you doing?
How's your summer? It's good. We're
I'm wearing
back.
white. I'm wearing a t-shirt, which is nice up here. We're having a few days of warm weather's just started. So yeah, looking good, looking good.
It's hot. It is hot. It is hot down south, mate.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
it's hot
mate, have
down
you got the
south.
have you got the aircon on already?
Oh, the aircon's been on. I turned it off. Just turned it off.
Yeah, yeah. But
Just
just for
turned it off.
tonight.
It's that time of year where I work at home and spend all day on Teams and everyone starts their call like, "Oh, it's so hot." Is it? Is it? I've got aircon.
Yeah.
I say it like literally 10 times a day. Just phone
Oh,
people just to
that's
go, "Oh, is it hot?" Yeah, I've got aircon. Yeah.
the amount of people that must just look at you and just go, "You prick."
Yeah, yeah. They know. They already know. Even before the aircon, they knew.
Oh, mate, it's like you dropping into chat with me and just saying, "Oh, by the way, in Arizona, I did this." I'm like, "Oh, you bastard." Every time, every time. How was the
Smart.
trip? Was it good?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. We had some rain. That's never happened before.
What?
It's
You mean like
never
in Arizona, it's never ever happened?
like when it rained, the person said, yes, the first day it's rained in 4 months. Um, but yeah, had a bit of rain, which is not like they were locals. I can see Walshy was in the chat, but like locals were like over the moon. They were like, oh my God, like everyone to be out for the next few days because it just took the edge off for a few days because
Yeah.
June's just horrific. It's normally like 40 odd degrees. So like low 30s. You know, this is amazing. Or like high 80s, they say, that
Yeah.
type of stuff. But yeah. No, it's always incredible. You feel better in warm weather. Like I wake up, I'm so achy most days and stuff. But over there, you played like 8 rounds of golf in 7 days. But every morning you wake up, you're just, yeah, nice. Body's okay. You feel fine.
I was gonna say because last year you came back and your back was in pieces, but must have been better
I
prep for
blame
this
the,
year or
I
something
blame
like
that.
that.
Yeah, I did try to do a fair bit of work on the back to make sure it got through it because it's just the buggies. Yeah, because they're all buggy courses, so you're just bouncing around. But yeah, how's your summer?
So far, so good. I haven't done a lot yet. Played a bit of golf myself, and
You have been playing a bit.
yeah, been trying to get out. Went and saw Moulin Rouge on at the weekend, which was nice. Took the wife down to Edinburgh for one night, which was great. And yeah, Moulin
Look at
Rouge
all
was
these things we can
excellent.
do without football. Look at
It's,
all these lovely things, social life, enjoy
yeah, it's nice.
ourselves,
It's nice.
family men.
It's what we are. That's what we are. And we've had a month off, and it's like right now we need to get back to it.
It's quite nice not checking the scores though, isn't it? And stuff. I took Eddie down the fair, which is in town on Sunday, and literally between like 2 and 4. Normally it'd be like check it.
Yeah,
Um, so it was good. It meant I didn't lose my child, which is always a
it's
bonus.
always a bonus. It's only happened once to me before. So
But yeah, it's been good. We've got fixtures.
yes,
Tottenham have a new manager.
yes.
Ange is down, gone.
Oh, he's gone. Well, to be fair, actually, it's because I mean, obviously, for anyone that can't tell, and for anyone that's listening, they won't know. Obviously, we've had a small upgrade, as in like size wise, we're just a lot bigger on screen. Um, no FPL content does this at the moment. We're going to be the first to do it,
We're going to be
and
the biggest.
we're going to be the biggest
That's
and the
all we
best.
can
That's
do.
that's the best. That's the best we can do.
What?
Well,
Once you
to
get
be
to mid, once you get like, I mean, I'm in mid 40s now. Like, biggest is what you can hope for.
well, mate, we asked it. We asked. I put a poll out about whether people thought who was going to be the first person to lose their top 10k virginity, and they went, "Fuck you, neither of you." So we might as well just size up the graphics and go with that. So
Yeah.
cheers to Alex for sorting that out, and we can even do things like jump to me if I'm having a chat, or we can jump to Baker.
Yes, referent like this, a big referent. Like this is the way. So yeah, bigger. Um, you know, we're not having the summer off, as it were. We are working. Over half the people that watch this watch it via their phones. So we want to try and make the graphics as big as possible to enable people that are watching on any device can see us. If you're watching us on the telly, apologies. Just this is what we look like. Not much we can do about that. But yeah, excited.
Excited, mate. So hello to everyone in the chat. Let's make this nice and social. Hello to everyone in the chat. There are a few of you guys in here. 71 of you already. First in here was Leo is good. To be fair, actually, I don't even know if Leo's here because Leo commented about 12 hours ago. So shout out to you, Leo. But Lukey Boy 123 was first in the chat, I think, this evening, which is cool. Nice to see you guys. Johnny Eggs, Claire, 79, Madry Leno, Matt B, Dan, Peter Tisdale, plenty of you. Walshy, as you've mentioned.
Rhinos back in the Premier League. Congratulations, sir. Welcome back, Leeds.
Well done, well done. FPL have a beer. He is in the chat. FPL Chip Assistant Man said this is a new account for the new season, but I don't know who you were previously, so we'll work that out. FPL Large, shout out to you, and FPL Yellow Army as well. Shout out to you, Gwyn, in the chat. Yeah, hope you guys are having a good summer. Good summer.
What are the boys about? Did Biarca win in the end?
Who win?
Biarca did it win was it the public league?
Yes.
Yeah. Our champion, yes. Our reigning champions in the chat.
Yes. Sorry, I weirdly I thought you were talking about the Club World Cup for some reason. I thought you were just randomly naming a club that nobody had ever heard of.
Madrileno is our beloved High Noon guy.
Oh man.
I've got the shades. We're now supported by High Noon.
That's it. We're in.
I haven't got the cap down. I actually wore the cap on the dog wall this morning.
We can go full.
Oh,
there you go, mate. Done.
If you talk enough about booze, good things happen. Like people say it's bad, but we've managed to get a whiskey sponsorship, and now we got a High Noon match. So, who's the bad guy?
This is going to be clipped to shit, isn't it? Let's get rid of it for now.
I need some cans. I've got my little can holder. We need above average one of these little can holders. Now we're a tropical country.
I've had loads of those in the past. I had to throw them all away. I just like doing my head in. Like it doesn't get hot enough here to worry about it. Stuff needing to stay cold. They were an absolute staple in Malaysia where I was, and it was just
Aussie stubby holders. Like, I'm used to that. Like many years back was the old classic like Victoria Bitter fucking stubby holders. Yeah, all that stuff.
I suppose we better. I mean, we can talk about Spurs a little bit. I guess that's probably next on the agenda because obviously, as you say, Thomas Frank's in. Interviews and stuff started going on today. I mean, I'm pretty happy that it's Frank that's coming.
I'm really happy.
I was excited. Excited probably wasn't the right word. I was fine when Ange came in. Obviously, delighted with what he did in the end, and I would have probably given him a little bit of time. Not to say that I'm bothered about the decision being made. At the same time,
I think that is it. I think once it was and then it was like okay, and then I think it was obvious it was going to be Thomas Frank, and then it was like you say. It's not like the most exciting thing in the world type stuff, but it feels relatively like comforting. I want to say it's like that's almost that word. You feel like. I mean, who doesn't like Thomas Frank? Everyone likes Thomas Frank. He's such a likable guy. And then you watch all the stuff about, just even the way that he can do it himself, like in leaving that. Look at you flicking to the big screen. In Brentford, and doing all the bits with him, them doing a statement, him doing a statement, all of that piece. It's like just a class act. You hear all the stuff, you watch, you can't help yourself. There's enough stuff. I mean, I had to watch Jake Humphrey's High Performance podcast, which I didn't like so much, but you can just sort of forward the bits where Jake talks. But it's just nice.
I mean, that's it. I mean, we know a lot about Thomas Frank from his TV stuff, and he's very, very sort of open and honest about how he approaches everything. He talks really, really well, and he looks like he'll develop like a really good relationship with the players as well. And I think that's going to be important because you saw the sort of outpour from I don't know whether this was PR based. I feel like Romero's definitely was, but the outpouring from the players of how thankful they were that Ange had done what he'd done, and I think it was justified given obviously the trophy came in. So he's got a bit of work to do to obviously make sure that the players are on side. They're all professionals at the end of the day, so I'm sure when they get to know him, they know what he's done with Brentford and
100%.
how the players have improved under him at Brentford. And so I don't think there's any reason why it should cause a problem for us.
No, 100%. I think it will. The interesting bit will be like he's not a system manager, Thomas Frank. He'll work and adapt to his tactics, but he's kind of mainly known throughout his career of this is what I've got, or this is how to get the best out of them, and then work out the way around it. So I think there's some very natural conclusions that people will look at is if you take the current squad, you'll be like, oh, will it be 4-3-3? Like, does Solanke just do what Wissa did and get 29 penalty goals, in a season? Does Madison just go to the Damsgaard role where he's just pinging balls left, right, and centre? Like, how does that work? Bumo Johnson, Tail Sharder, or Sun Sharder, depends if he's there or not. But there's a lot of you could just swap it, and maybe that's what he will do.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it almost sells him short for it. If you think about even Pep, for example, I watched a tiny bit of the Club World Cup yesterday, but yeah, very interesting. Obviously, Pep Linders is now there at City, and suddenly you were like, oh, that's completely different. Like pressing as a high 4-2-4. Well, that wasn't happening literally 5-6 weeks ago.
mm.
You can't as a manager, you can't just continue to be pigeonholed of this is how I'm going to play because it becomes that. That's part of the problem that we had with Ange is that it became very, very easy as to know exactly what he was going to do and then play against. Pep's the best at it, of continually finding ways of what he can do, and he was trialing it. I mean, it looked incredibly open if he wants to try the 4-2-4 presser, but we'll work it out. We will wait for pre-season.
Yep.
But I think it's just going to depend who comes in and goes. We haven't got a lot of room, have we, in the squad?
No, but we have let a few go. I mean, like Fraser Forster's left. I'm not talking about obviously keepers, but Reguilon's gone. A few have been released, right? That said, there's a few coming back. I think obviously Manor Solomon comes back, and there are others that come back as well. I think so. Yeah,
Solomon will go though, isn't he?
Well, Solomon will probably go.
He's stuck in Israel at the moment, so the two that he went over to get married, and now he's stuck.
They can't get back out.
No. So, yeah, they'll work it out. But let's take a bet early doors. Do you think Son will be here for game week 1?
Well, I didn't think you'd ask me that question. Do I think he'll be here in game week 1? I'd like to think he would be. To be honest. I think he will be. I know there was a lot of chat around Saudi. There was a bit.
Saudi sounds like it's.
Yeah, I can see it, but then big players will always get attention at this time of year from the places where there's a lots of money.
Money in it. It's just the last time.
It is so much money, but at the same time, I think people underestimate how. Maybe they don't underestimate, but how big he is as like a football icon. Basically, you're just looking at most of Asia, right? I mean, obviously all of South Korea and Asia as a whole. He's just pretty much the best player that they've ever produced. So
yeah,
he's got to assess the impact of a move like that for him, as well as maybe compared to staying at Spurs. If he was to go, I would obviously prefer him to do something like go back to Hamburg or something like that.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't surprise me if he moved on. I think it says to me one more season that works in a while. I don't think Tell's ready. I don't think Odebear's ready. I mean, then between them, they might play the season between them, but I don't know. And I don't think you'd want to. I don't think we'll buy another guy that plays on the left, unless they keep Manor Solomon, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's that. A few more transfers. Obviously, Liverpool are making interesting moves. Kirkes still hasn't been announced, is it? But apparently is done. But Kirkes and Frimpong, you're like
Yeah,
very high fullbacks. And then you've got Florian Wirtz comes in.
yeah. Apparently landed today or yesterday or today for a medical.
Yep.
That's a big move.
Sounds like Luis Diaz is staying as well. So there was talk of him, obviously Barca, Saudi, all that sort of stuff. Sounds like that. So I don't think there's many outgoings for him. Kwanzaa looks like he's off, but
That's
who
fine.
cares?
Yeah.
Um,
But then they're also looking at. I mean, I saw something around Mark Gahey as well.
mm.
Possible inbound there. I mean, it's going to give him some options, some
Well,
depth,
obviously
some real
Van Dijk's
depth.
not getting any younger, and Kanate does have a habit of getting injured a fair bit.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll go back look at the fixtures and stuff like that, but we'll see is that these Champions League teams are going to need significant depth to get through game week 4 onwards. It's pretty nuts.
I mean, obviously, like City's obviously the big one, right? City's obviously the big one. They've obviously had Eight Nuri's come in, Cherky's come in. They've added Reinders as well.
Is it? We'll find out on this one, but I think someone said to me it's pronounced Rangers, like Rangers, like the
Oh,
club
that would make
Rangers.
sense. That would make sense. Let's not forget Rodri's going to come back in. Like that's
Again.
just a player in, right?
They actually haven't got a lot of room. They did so there's a
Doesn't
27
surprise
man
me.
squad, 27-man squad for this Club World Cup, and I looked at it and I was like, that literally there's no filler there, and Kovacic isn't in it, and one other wasn't in it. Somebody else wasn't in it. There was two main people I thought like in terms of the squad that weren't in it. Kovacic was one another, and I was like, well, that's and then 29, and I just genuinely couldn't work out who you would take out. But that means they've got to get 4 players out of that squad.
Yeah, Oscar Bob's back. I still feel like they're also missing. Well, whether he's traditional or not, whether this player would be a traditional one or not, but they've got no right back, like no real right back whatsoever. And if you're going to use
Yeah.
if you're going to use someone like Eight Nori as your sort of outlet left hand side, that has to become a 3 because you feel like Eight Nori will be the one that bombs. Vardiol picks up left centre back, Diaz sits in the middle, and then they'll have a right centre back to cover him. But then maybe that is just Ake, right? Or a Kanji. It probably doesn't matter. It probably could be anyone.
That's a good point, actually. I don't think Ake was in that squad, but obviously Kanji's back. Stones was.
I forgot about John Stones as well.
John Stones is while he's there, he's back.
Oh, Grealish obviously hasn't gone.
Grealish hasn't got. Yeah, no, it wasn't Grealish. And he's gone, and so he's not really he's not really a bother. In that sense,
You
I
see
don't know.
all the Instagram posts by Haaland with like missing Grealish and all this sort of stuff.
No, I didn't.
He
I
just
did
does
see.
what the
I did see that someone tricked Grealish into paying for a round of drinks out there. Is that someone pretended to get his autograph, but what they'd done is they just got the bill off the waiter,
That's incredible.
just wandered it over, got him to sign for it. So
Good work.
I was like, oh, Jackie boy. Yeah, I mean he'll
Kev's
go.
gone to Napoli, of course he has. Yeah.
Kev's gone to Napoli. Everyone's linked with Napoli. See a million people just linked with
Everyone wants to
Napoli.
go to play with Scott McTominay. That's why.
That's why. Why would you not? Oh, mate, KDB to Big McSauce. That's
The
fun.
dream.
It's a dream. No wonder they're getting him. Foden's got a new haircut. Thank God he's got that now and not game week 1 because I would be all
Because
over
you'd
it.
be all over that.
Yes. I think both interestingly on that squad when they announced it was O'Reilly and Nunes were both down as midfielders, not down as defenders. I noticed that. I was like, is that just how it's going to be?
FPL will do the same.
But yeah, this Club World Cup's made it so that a few teams have obviously started making moves. Chelsea, Man City, well, let's try and get these people bedded in. And I'm like, I can't work out if this is then good for Man City. Like, do you target Man City because they've had the Club World Cup, so they're sort of having a summer off, or is it worse because maybe they're going to have a little break after this and then?
And they're already sort of tuned in a little bit. Yeah, I was wondering this. I thought, you know what? I looked at our fixture because we'll talk about fixtures in a sec, but obviously we've got City game week 2, and we go away to City game week 2. So I'm thinking, this is one of the few opportunities where Thomas Frank's going to have some time to prepare for a game, right? And he's going to have the World Cup not as a blueprint as such, but just as a guide, as some ideas of what that squad is capable of, and how that team's going to be set up as. So I always say this, like trying to play City in those first 2-3 weeks feels like a good opportunity. Not an opportunity. It feels like it's the best time to play them is early. And I don't think the Club World Cup actually changes that.
Yeah. We say that, but also remember that Haaland was just banging in hat-tricks for fun in the first 3-4 games last season. It's a toughie.
Yeah. And we'll be leggy. Well,
yeah.
We'll just have one extra game in our legs, that's all. That's all it needs to be.
Well, we've got a big few weeks. So leading into game week 1 for Tottenham is we've got Bayern Munich, then we've got Arsenal, or vice versa. Then the interesting bit for Tottenham, because everyone's going to have seen Burnley as game week 1, but I just assumed that Burnley game would be on the Sunday or Monday, because the Wednesday before the season starts is PSG in the Super Cup.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Wednesday, Saturday is not an unusual turnaround, right, for the rest of the season.
It is for the start of a season. That's why they play game week 1, game week 2, and have a week in between.
Yeah, okay, I suppose. But I think, but later on they won't. It was not going to be concern.
But we don't. What people immediately, already had things here saying, "Oh, I'm interested in Tottenham because they've got Burnley." Don't know. Like, what do you take from it? Would you?
Hold on. Somebody just asked Super Cup chances. I mean, I would rather
probably quite slim.
I'd rather go to Vegas and chuck all my money on 0, to be honest.
Yeah, they're pretty good, PSG.
Yeah.
You see Luis Enrique walking around in just like a tiny pair of shorts and nothing else for training?
No.
He doesn't like to wear shoes because he likes to be grounded. So his feet touch the lawn. But yeah, no top or anything. Just looks absolutely ripped. That is ridiculous. I'm like, oh, jeans. It's got to be the jeans.
Yeah.
It's not the exercise or the diet. It's the jeans.
Yeah. Spanish blood.
Yeah, definitely. So,
I was gonna say there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of others as well. I mean, people are going to be looking at Delap with Jackson out for the first couple of games.
How many we got? What, 1 or 2 that he's banned for?
Two.
First 2 games.
Yes. Yeah, he's got 2. Could be a change. There'll be a change of keeper at Bournemouth. Change of keeper at Brentford. Obviously, Cunha comes in to United, possibly Bumo to either United or Spurs, probably United.
Probably United. Bournemouth, I haven't signed a keeper yet.
But Neto's going back, so I know he's old, but he's there, right?
He's old, but he's there.
He's old, but he's there. Keepers play until they're like 40, mate. Players are playing later and later now. I don't know how keep rolling out midfielders that are playing up until they're like 38, 39 now. That just didn't exist 10 years ago. But keepers just keep going. He's only like 35.
I don't think if I was Bournemouth, I'd be particularly happy about having Neto back. I mean, he was close to losing his place to Mark Travers. Travers.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I didn't have much else. We didn't talk about Vuskovic coming in for Spurs as well. Just depth.
He might get loaned out though, mightn't he? He might do.
Yeah, but he's already had loans. Like he spent.
Only 18.
Yeah, true.
Should
we look at what the season looks like then? Like the dynamic of the season. Boom. Like this is the new view as well. How good is this?
Oh yeah. So when we're looking at, for those that are old school, when we're looking at our game week and looking game by game, even that will be bigger.
Do we want to show that as an example, or should we leave people to
leave it? Wait.
Embrace the mystery.
Yeah, embrace the mystery.
So
we got 3 game weeks, and then a break.
Yeah, 2 week break,
Fuck's sake.
full 2 week break.
Every year, it's almost like it somehow it surprises me, even though it happens every year. I'm like, oh,
Because your first thought as well was when you see this, you go wild card. You just know your mind just goes, is that a wild card week? Straight away. And I'm not sure whether the fixtures say that's a wild card week.
no. I mean, that is it, isn't it? Straight away, you get bored. Like people will get bored. I've got 2 weeks. I've got 2 weeks. Um,
How can I chase value?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I saw Andy Martin saying that game week 4 wild card he was his early thoughts,
Oh mate,
but
he's got first draft, game week 4 wild card. He's probably locked on his blanks
I
and doubles
don't.
that James and Planet FPL's done. Before we go any further, this is obviously Ben Krellin's spreadsheet. I don't know whether I mentioned that. I
Obviously,
didn't.
yeah,
So should mention that.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know because we have 2 weeks off, then we come back, and then game week 4 on the weekend. Then, if you're Champions League, it's match day 1 that midweek.
Yeah.
If you're not Champions League, it's third round Carabao.
Yeah.
Then it's into game week 5. Then it's match day 1 of Europa. And then for the Champions League clubs, they'll play their third round Carabao
Yes.
games that game. Um, then another game week. Then everyone who's in Europe plays
Yeah. There's
on
match day
between
1 for
6th and 7th.
conference, which will be Forest, and then
Yep.
everyone else. So Arsenal, City, Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, and Palace are the other ones. There's nine. There's nine in there, right? So it's basically it's half the league.
Then you play game week 7, and then you're off for 2 weeks
Yeah.
for another international break. Then you come back. There we go again. And it goes and it goes and it goes and it goes.
It's
And
literally relentless.
relentless. Obviously, come back from that November break, and it's a little easier. You've got one more midweek, then you've got 3 weeks of just. Oh no, it's not, is it? Because 13, 14, and 15 are one calendar week.
Yes.
Holy moly!
Yeah, like yeah, like December the 23rd, like Christmas is like when they get a day off, basically.
And really interesting that starts game week 13 because I was talking to you earlier about game week 13 is a very interesting start of a run. So if you look at this game week 13, you've got 13, 14, 15 in a calendar week. Then you've got one more Champions League. Then you've got 16. Then there's a little bit more. Then we're into Christmas period, 17, 18, 19. Now, I looked on Scout earlier. I was looking for some like groups of fixtures and what you really first thing I think everyone's going to look at is when will I have Haaland? When will I have Salah? When will I try and scramble to get both? And game week 13 to 19 looks like the period of time where if you're going to have both, that's the best time to have it. And that's I mean, we don't know how hard that's going to be, but in game week 13, you've got home to Leeds for Man City. There it is. There you are. There you are. Look at this.
Just took me a second to get there, but because I forgot to put it together. But yes, there it is.
There you go. So in 13, you've got Man City home to Leeds. In 14, you've got Liverpool home to Sunderland. It's a real brave man to go without for each of those ones. And then you go into 15, and then Man City are home to Sunderland,
Or Newcastle home to Burnley. Take your pick.
or Newcastle home to Burnley. But let's just play that through. 14 is a midweek fixture. It is a midweek fixture. So you want the nailed people. Mo Salah's normally the nailed person that you really would want to captain in that 14. Then you move into game week 15, and what we should note here is that the other team with a really good fixture run is Newcastle, and Newcastle players are not cheap. It's going to be a real hard one to try and work through. How do I play it for? If you go early on your wild card, you say game week 4, for example, trying to then rejig how you're going to work it to then be, God, I've got to move these players around because I want to attack this. Especially if someone like Verts becomes essential, or one of let's say Marmoush gets made a midfielder and plays every game. That's pretty essential. Do you know what I mean? Like you won't just want one or two of these guys. You're going to want to try and get as many in as possible.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Newcastle away to Sunderland. I mean, that's a derby, so I think people might leave that alone in 16. But you've got Liverpool home to Brighton, absolutely fine. Um, I'm assuming, by the way, on this that Bumo won't be at Brentford because if he is there, then in 13 you have got home to Burnley, and in 16 you have got home to Leeds. Worcester will definitely be popular during that period. Uh, 17, you've got Man City home to West Ham. 18, you've got Wolves at home for Leeds. And then you go back to 19, and you've got Leeds and Sunderland come to play again. And you've got Liverpool home to Leeds. And you've got Newcastle away at Burnley. And you've got Man
Yeah, so
City away
15,
at
yeah,
Sunderland.
so 15 and 18, 15 and 19 are literally the flip fixtures, aren't they? Actually, they're
Yeah,
all just the flipped fixtures.
crazy. Those three promoted teams have got probably three of the, probably almost like the three best attacks in the league.
Yeah.
Certainly three of the top five attacks in the league.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been pointed out in the chat. Obviously, like Salah goes in 17. There's a bunch that go
Yeah, yeah.
to Afcon in 17. You reeled off a few for me yesterday, which
Yeah, it's a
were
lot.
so yeah. Salah obviously for Egypt, Marmoush, Dingra, Dango, Ola Aina, uh, Sa,
Schmollisar. Yeah,
Wissa.
we'll go. Wissa. So that's
So then,
17.
well,
Oh,
16,
yeah.
16 you'll get him. 17 he'll be gone.
But then you'll need the transfer to get rid of him.
But you need the transfer to get rid of him, and you'll be wanting to get rid of Salah because you will have Salah during this period.
You want to
So
get rid of Salah.
you're gonna need the transfers. Iwobi, Jackson, Onana, for United, and Eight Nori. Eight Nori is another one. Yeah, I think the way
Mm,
City squad's built up, I think Eight Nori can be covered. But if
yeah.
you think of O'Reilly
But
and Vardy or
the one
whatever,
positive is Ghana didn't qualify. Sorry if you're from Ghana because just this and on that,
might
but
have a couple.
it's a positive for us because Semenyo and Kudus won't go. Um, hey, they one of those guys might be somewhere else by then. But yeah, we're 17. uh, They there is a chance they could play 17. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Onana played because literally he had a game on the Monday and he played. I think he even played. Was it Saturday or Sunday? He played for Man United. Because he just he's a keeper. I'm just going to
He's a
fly
keeper,
out
so he's fine.
type stuff. But we don't. The fixture could mean that you're like, oh, okay. Um, So they probably don't play 17, but they might do. They probably latest they're back in 23. But there's a lot going on there, isn't there? Do you know what I mean? Like, so Haaland and Salah in 13, you probably want them for that stretch. Then you come off it and you're like, oh, suddenly I've got to adjust for Afcon. Um, I don't know how many players we'd want from the Asian Cup. The Asian Cup's game week 23 to 27.
Which is what Mitoma, Son. Are they? Is there anyone else?
Doesn't feel like we've got a lot of relevant players on the Asian Club.
Don't think so.
United Ultra says to Congo qualify. They did, yeah. I think Ghana's the only big, biggish name. Guinea, I think was the other team, the other team, that was the other country that didn't.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, we do need to think about that. Like the earlier you go, how do you navigate? I don't know. I think you will need to sit in your hand. Like last season, at no point did I get past two transfers. I didn't get to free transfers at any point.
You were so desperate to make moves. It was weird because I started off and my plan was to build transfers, and so I built two, then wildcarded, then built a couple more, and then just fell flat on my face and just made like five transfers and then never got back to it.
It's
And then
so
I just made
tempting, isn't it? Once
hits.
you got them.
Well, I ended up taking like 16 hits or something stupid like that after then. So then it
Mm,
didn't really work out too well for me. My child is still awake.
that's not ideal, mate.
My yeah,
That
wife will be back in 10 minutes. She'll set her right.
that is not ideal. So we don't know the prices. What do you think? Let's do predictions. He might be watching this, Mr. Southerns. So Mr. Southerns is in charge, effectively, or in charge of the gameplay. I think was his title or something like that. Was that he's doing this stuff. If you were Mark, would you want to? Like, I was trying to work out. Would you want to be involved in the prices, or would you want them to somebody else to set the prices and then you try and break it?
I would like somebody to set the prices and then me to try and break it.
That's how I'd do it. That's how I'd do it if I was Mark. If you're watching this, Mark, we'll give you some. You can pay us a consultancy fee. But that's how I would do it, wouldn't it? Because he's like that's his expertise of stuff.
Yeah,
Is like you give me it, I break it, and then once I've broken it, maybe we tinker with the prices accordingly from there.
yeah. I think that's yeah. I think that'd be the way. That'd be the way that I'd like to do it. But
Mm.
what's your overall sentiment on it? Would you like to see because what we've seen in the past couple of years or 3 years, 4 years, however long we've been doing this, is based on that. My expectation is like Tottenham midfield will be like 6 million, 6.5, 7. Man United midfield will be
Yeah,
6.5. Like Bruno will be like 7.5. That's the sort of thing that I would expect because let's be real. Let's remember when Arsenal and United finished sixth, seventh, and eighth, and their prices just plummeted. Man United and Spurs finished 16th and 17th. Like there has to be a reduction based on that sort of sentiment.
I
But at the
think
same,
there should be. I think it's a tough. I think there's a tough gig here, and in that Mark's view will be. I think it'd be very hard for Mark to not think about how we would like how content creators would interpret the thing, but has to then try and remain that this is the Premier League's like window, its vehicle to reach really large audience, keep 12 million people engaged in a game that promotes the Premier League, and therefore is every sign we've had in the last few years is catered to making the game not making the game easier, but easier to keep picking up. So
mm,
it's made players affordable that you could have a team that you were like, that's amazing. Five transfers. I I can't tell you last season, my mates who I just went on golf holiday with, they all play FPL, but just their work league and, not serious for their rank or any of that stuff. I can't tell you how many times last season they came to me and said, Baker, can you have a look at my team for me? And I'd look at it and they had four or five transfers, and then I just completely rejig their stuff.
yeah,
So where we're seeing it as like a weird planning thing, they were seeing it as a well, actually, John, their name's not John, I made him, but John, who basically would have never played the game again in December, was able to keep
get back
handing it
involved
and
because
yeah, keep
he
handing it
had
to his
five
mate.
moves. He basically
The
had a mini
amount of
wild
times
card
that
that he could use.
and guess what? If you had five transfers and you could always make them, how do you think the next few weeks were?
Yeah, pretty damn
They
good.
were they were brilliant for a guy who was ranked like 3-4 million who doesn't look at it and then has that he's like, what? I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. Like
Yeah,
I'd get messages. I'd get messages for the next few weeks being like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. And then I'd hear nothing suddenly. Like
forgotten
wouldn't be
about it
chatting with
again.
yeah, yeah. And then we'll be teeing it up just before we're about to do it. We're having some breakfast and someone would go, can you have a little look at my team again, please, for me? And I'd do 3 or 4 moves again. And I'm like, that's kind of what like It's clever. It works.
Yep.
It works.
We haven't looked at any. Well, we've looked at like the fixtures from game week 13. We haven't actually looked at the ones from game week 1 yet.
Let's do that.
That's not the right one. There we go. So
I
nice,
feel,
bright visual from FPL Tips. So shout out to you for this one.
yeah, we got it because it was bright. I did see this tweet, and then immediately people just immediately are like straight into it. Man United's not a green fixture.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, this
It's
isn't this. This isn't this. This isn't this. He's done it, you know, based on. I think he said he did it based on league positions and stuff like that. So like, um, uh, Burnley have got Tottenham away, and that's a green fixture for them too.
yeah. That is what it is. It
Um,
doesn't. It's not. It's not. It's not overly important. I think we can contextualize what we expect
yeah,
from close matchups, and we can see when things are wrong. So we don't need to maybe just take all of that information. But what it does allow you to have a look at a glance and just say, "Oh, look, Villa have got a pretty good run between game week 3 and game week 7." Like that's not a lie, is it? It's not. It's not untrue. Oh, look, Tottenham starts pretty good apart from City away. Oh wait, hold on. That's all kind of true as well. Um,
yeah, it is.
so it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, like Liverpool's is like, oh, Liverpool, they've got a good start, but they're obviously playing all the teams that finished well last year. That's also true.
Yeah, I think as soon as I look at this, if you just look at the if you look at the let's just say the teams that are likely to be the most expensive players, so therefore you've got to try and work around it. Arsenal, you look at it and you say, do I see myself doubling up on, no matter what the prices are? Do I see myself doubling up on Arsenal defence in game week 1?
Nope.
Zero chance. I think there's a strong chance that everyone will have no Arsenal defence in game week 1.
Not sure about none, but I don't think.
Gab's
I
going to
mean,
be like over 6 million, isn't he? I wouldn't be surprised if Gab and Saliba are both 6.5 million.
if they are, then fine. That's yeah. That is a no
Even
go.
6. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I mean,
Um,
Gab even pre-injury wasn't incredible last year, but their defense was still good.
there's some immediate thoughts that you could possibly stash a Villa defender. There's a cheapo. But if they make Konza 5 million, you ain't paying 5 million for him. They make Konza 4.5 again, you stash Konza.
I mean, if they make Pickford 5, do you just go in there?
Probably. Probably.
Like,
Um,
where are the 4.5s going to come from? I mean, that's the thing. It's like I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to start with like Kelleher because I don't. One,
uh,
we don't know who's coming in for Brentford yet, do we? In terms of management,
no.
so we don't know how that's going to set up. They haven't lost anyone really. They haven't lost any players yet defensively, so there's not really a concern there. Ben Mee's been
I think
released,
Brent I
but
think Brentford's a stay away. I
yeah,
think Brighton's probably a stay away. Just don't think it's good
potentially.
enough. Like,
It's still going to
and
be
it's when
interested
you
around like your dunks and that kind of thing, though. Depends on the price, right?
it's got to be cheap. They've got to be cheap. They've got to be cheap. Just ignore Burnley. I'm going to move on from them. Chelsea are definitely Chelsea and no Jackson, and you know, in that first opening 3 game weeks, which you can't help but draw your eyes to that opening 3 game. I saw even the official account like immediately posts out opening 3 game weeks for every team, like, and you couldn't help but draw your eyes to that Chelsea one and be like, oh, 2 home games. Don't leave London for the first 3 game weeks.
4 basically. Brentford is
Yeah,
basically not leaving.
no, that's quite useful for a team like just in general, just no travel. Will not be staying in any hotels, other than wherever they stay type stuff. And that's really good for their prep. if it turns out they're fresh out of this or well gelled in terms of from this, then yeah, if Delap comes out at a good price, people are definitely going to get tempted.
Mm.
What if he scores? What if he keeps it?
Yeah.
David says your hair is fire this year, mate.
It's, to be honest, actually, it was due to be cut tomorrow, but I'm not actually getting it cut tomorrow because my barber is on holiday. So it's too long. It's actually too long. And the reason it's got so much product in it is just so that it can keep out the vast amount of grey that is now there.
Welcome to the world, mate.
Yeah.
Welcome to the grey world. But yeah, Chelsea definitely interested. Palmer. Immediate views, Palmer's more interesting than Saka.
Yes. It's such a difficult one. Because he did a lot of early good work last season, but when do we realize that one goal in 23 games or something like that is not just like a blip? Do we just assume that he's just like what? I feel like he's never going to quite return to that season already.
Yeah, what if it's Dele Alli? What if it's already Dele Alli?
It's gone. It's just done. It's just game over, right? Like no one's doubting. I don't think anyone's doubting his. He does have the quality.
What if it's Dele Alli? We could be clipping this in. We could be clipping this at the end of the season. What if? That's it. We've said he's finished. That's our first big claim of the season. Done.
Well, 2 years ago we said Salah was finished.
We did. We like these. David says you should keep the hair until Spurs lose. Have you come across that guy on TikTok? I'm sure he's on other social as well. But he at the start of last season he said that he wasn't going to cut his hair till Man United won 5 games in a row.
Right. So it's still growing.
Still growing. It's fucking massive. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, the TikTok accounts, because like you got the United Stand, is TikTok accounts called the United Strand. It's fantastic. Have a look, and he's done like a full timeline of the year on like his pinned TikTok. It's absolutely magnificent,
incredible.
Anyway, sidetracked. Palace, avoid.
Again, I don't mind a cheap one. Right? If you're going to have a cheap, because there's potential here for. Say again.
I don't even think I want a cheap one.
Depends how cheap they are, though. I mean, if like a Tyreek Mitchell was 4.5.
He's on Instagram as well, apparently. For
something like that. Then it's not. It doesn't. Because like, what are you going to want from Palace? You're going to want Eze, might leave. Gehi might leave. Mateta, probably not. Too expensive. Not cheap. Just trying to think where else you would go, actually. Like Mitchell, Henderson. I mean, Henderson would be sort of long term, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be any worse. He's not going to be any worse than any others, but he was good last year, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if he's 5 mil. Like if he's 5, then he's a no. Like I'd much rather have Pickford at 5 than Henderson at 5. If he's 4-5,
Everton have got some interest, haven't they? Pickford's interesting. O'Brien, what price he is, I'm especially if Branthwaite goes. Wouldn't surprise me that surely Njai becomes a midfielder this season.
Yeah.
If Njai is like a 5.5 or 6.0 midfielder, he'll be in a lot of teams. If he's £6 million and he's on pens,
yeah, it'd just be locked, wouldn't he? That's
locked. Yeah, I honestly think up to £6 million, he is locked.
Yeah. I agree.
Fulham's an avoid.
Foden.
Fulham.
Oh, Fulham.
Foden's never an avoid, mate. It's never an avoid. He's an avoid for many people.
This is why I was shocked at what you were saying. Yeah, Fulham avoid. I mean, I still think all promoted sides are just targetable. To be honest,
Yes,
there's a lot of
that's what we
chat
do.
around. Yeah, there's a lot of chat around like Burnley's defensive record last year and their overperformance of their XGC, and their XGC was similar to Leicester's the year before. And so, if Leeds don't replace Melier, then they're going to concede like 40 goals just from mistakes.
They can't. They won't play Man U again, surely. But yeah, target until you're told not to target. I think that's the way with promoted teams.
Could you chuck in a cheap Sunderland option if you were bench
If you're
boosting game week
gonna
one?
like that, Sunderland runs. I'd say you just skipped out 7 teams, but Sunderland looks all right.
Yeah.
I was trying to keep something old A to Z there, mate, but
Oh yeah.
um, so Fulham
You
no,
piss off
Leeds
Leeds
no,
fans. Is that what you're saying? I'm just doing that.
Leeds no, Leeds no, no. Obviously it gets better, but I'm not sashing him. Um, I don't know if you go Salah, I don't know that you will go much more than that. I just think you're going to look at Newcastle away and Arsenal at home and be like, oh,
I'd still think I'd want to. I mean, how much do you put on preseason? I guess, but I would still be happy to punt on like Frimpong. Like we've all seen what he could do Champions League fantasy and that. He
if
is
let me
always
ask you
very
another
involved.
question. If Frimpong and Kirkes are the same price, where would you go?
I'd go Frimpong.
Even
I'd
though
probably
Bradley's just there.
yes, yeah, but no, but Conor Bradley's not the same player, right? Like he's not as good. He's not as good as Frimpong. That's what I mean. He's not as good as
I'm
Frimpong.
not as good, but we often see it. Do you know what I mean? Like guy new to the league, whereas hey, Bradley's my guy, which was how Slot finished the end of the season.
Yeah, but he had to come out and say he was his guy because Trent was busy learning Spanish. Like he didn't really have
I
a
think
choice.
I think same price. I'd be with you on Frimpong. I think if it's even 500,000 less, I'd be siding on Kirkis if I was going there.
How much do you think
Uh,
they're going to have to be? Because obviously they're not going to be 7.5 mil. They're not going to be 7 mil. They're just not.
I think Kirkis would be 5.5 and 6. That's and 6 for Frimpong.
But
Or
how cheap is that though?
push.
Getting into Liverpool's back line because Van Dijk's like 6.5 normally, right?
I reckon I've had Van Dijk for about 5 games of his career,
Yeah, but no, but that's what I'm
and
saying
I've
though.
had him more than most.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like these players are definitely going to be better from an output perspective than Van Dijk. And do you really think they'll be 5.5 and 6? I
Yeah, because they don't keep any clean sheets. Really, not huge numbers, not like the old 20s
Yeah, but
of
this
the
is why they're
past. And
buying these players as well, right? Just
they've decided that we didn't keep that many clean sheets, so we'll buy more attacking fullbacks. um, I don't know. I don't know that Frimpong plays those first 3 games. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe if there's a, I'm not sure there's even going to be a good bench option that you say I'd slide him out for it. Um, but yeah, right back up against Gordon at St James's Park, second game week. I'm not sure they play him. They just stick. They probably play Joe Gomez there at fucking James's Park. Um, he might talk very, very positively, and we all get seduced.
maybe, maybe. I mean, yeah,
If he's 6.5, no chance I'm going near him.
yeah, no, fair enough. That's fair.
And Verts, I want a plan for game week 4. I want a plan for game week 4, but I'll let somebody else pick him for game week 1 to 3.
Fair enough.
Um,
I don't know. He's got to sign. I mean, he's got to sign first, but
oh, he signed.
he might be
Him and
one. It
Kirkis
might
have
be one
signed.
to get. It might be one to get ahead.
Well,
Bournemouth that
he'll be
first fixture.
popular, won't he? There's
Yeah, yeah,
there's
it'd be hugely popular.
there's so many Liverpool fans. Like if he comes in at say 9 million or something like that, or 9.5, he'll be 25, 30% owned. People won't, because good opening fixture. Thanks very much. I want him. I'll do it.
But
Not
if
when you
you're
can
gonna,
have Philip Foden.
is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Game week 1 Foden, transfer to Verts in game week 4. That's the plan.
God, I don't know.
I mean, we can come on to City. I don't even know where to start with City because they've just got so many players in so many positions that I just don't know what's going on. Like, I
I
looked at
think
that. I
that's
looked at that very first lineup in the Club World Cup, and I was like, "Look at that bench! Like it's like the best bench I've literally ever seen."
it's incredibly strong squad. It's an incredibly strong squad. I think we have to leave them alone and work it out later.
Yeah,
As soon as you see it, and they're immediately like, "Oh, we're playing four across, a 4-2-4 effectively." Well, that means they're going to want wingers, and so suddenly it was like, "Oh, right, okay." Savinho and Doku suddenly on the minute. I thought Doku was really good again.
let me read this bench. Right, Ortega, Diaz, Stones, Haaland, Nico, Rodri, Gundogan, Bernardo, Eight Nori, Vardiol, Akanji, Nunes, Echeverry, Kusanov, and Bob. Like, is that not the best bench you've ever heard?
Yeah, yeah, and they've got obviously Bob and Echeverry coming through.
Yeah,
Both played similar.
both played
It's
already.
a
Both got
tough.
minutes.
It's tough. Bernardo got made captain. Do you see that?
I did not.
Bernardo Silva's captain, club captain.
That's interesting. We've seen more often. We've seen more recently that club captain doesn't necessarily mean minutes.
No, because he. I literally looked at him trying to work out a team. I was like, I don't see Bernardo getting that many minutes this season. And then bang, club captain.
Yeah,
Um, I think people will get very tempted on Man United assets. I know it's Arsenal first up, but it is at home and then Fulham and Burnley.
yeah,
Um, I can see people doing it. I can see people thinking, I'll punt on Bruno or Cunha if they're midfielders with the view that I'll move them to Vertsing for.
yeah, yeah. United Ultra says Vert's only got 155 points at Leverkusen, which was calculated by him. Prefer Gakpo. I mean, maybe you should probably calculate Verts' points the season before when they were actually unbeaten. Like, because
Yeah,
that's the team that he's going into, right? He's going into the best team in the country. He's not at the second best team in the country or
yeah,
the third
it's
best
just
team.
bloody hard. It's bloody hard. It's
Yeah,
just really hard to work it out. Um, Newcastle, tough.
it's tough because Isak's going to go up in price. I feel like defenders will all go up in price. Like, I don't think you're going to get a 4-5 burn. Like these guys are
Yeah,
going to be 5-5-5.
you're two good fixtures in the Leeds away and Wolves at home at either side of an international break, and then that Wolves at home is just before you it's about to start Europe.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let you talk about the next couple, mate. I just need to disappear for a second. I'll be right back.
There you go. Forest, Chris Wood, chat. You got to help me here. Are we going to get seduced into buying Chris Wood and even Matt Sells? I look at this and be like, Matt Sells versus Pickford. Um, I think Milenkovic, Matt Sells, Wood, Gibbs White. If Gibbs White's there, I, I definitely, I definitely feel like we're going to want a bit of Forest. Albeit Adam was saying, I don't know if this is true. Again, Jack can help me, but apparently they've still got to qualify in the Europa to get into the main, so maybe they have extra games. Don't know if how useful that is, but I do look at Forest's opening fixtures and think Brentford home first up with Brentford, a lot of change going on. Alanga, like I just said, again, similar. Yep, all of those guys. Yeah, Alanga, if he's playing centrally, if we start to see that again, that sort of floating role, especially if Gibbs White does go and we get Alanga in that playmaker role, that would be very, very interesting. Yeah, kind of do like Forest picks in game week 1. Defenders,
Have you spoken about
Alanga.
Wood?
Not that much, but
I just feel like he'll get a big bump in price, right?
yeah, it looks like they're buying. They've got a guy from Botafogo, apparently, big money, and after Vlahovic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I like. I definitely like Milenkovic and Williams and Sells and Alanga. I think they're. I think they're all pretty good picks for game week 1.
Yeah. They have. I mean, they haven't done a lot so far, like transfer wise. It
No,
all seems very quiet, very settled. I don't know whether that's the sort of approach that Nuno's trying to take. But
they've still got PSR to work through as well. They've
yeah.
got to try and work around that game all the time. So I think, yeah, as I said, I definitely saw some stuff noise about Gibbs White potentially going to Saudi.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Mm, mm.
Well, that'll
That'd make
solve it, wouldn't it?
Langa. That would make Alanga an
Solve
incredible
PSR and
pick.
make Elanga really good.
Yeah. Uh, Sunderland of the promoted team, Sunderland looked like maybe if they had a 4.0 plan defender type thing, I'd be interested.
I just the only my only issue is we sat here, sorry Ivan, and said Leif Davis was going to be great, and they were the third promoted team, and they've just lost their best player to Dortmund. I just feel like that's not going to be easy to replace that, and they're targetable
Yeah.
anyway, and you lose a big player. Like what you want to try and do is you want to try and add to your squad and carry forward the players that you've got because the manager that you're not changing manager when moving up to the Premier League. You're rewarding
Mm.
the manager that got you there, and then if you take away a piece of his jigsaw, then you lose it, and it just
Yeah.
makes it difficult. I just think they're all targetable.
I know, but you're always looking for, can I get, because they're the most obvious place to get a 4.0 starting defender, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that's
They
fine.
always are. But you say it, but like if you take Leeds here, is the one place you don't want the best fixture to be is game week 1, because if you're, then nobody in the world's going to set up their squad to be able to need a 4.0 starting defender in game week 1,
Well, unless you're bench boosting.
unless you're bench boosting.
So I think that's why Leeds
So
kind of looks like okay.
get double Leeds defense and bench boost. Get for triple, get the keeper and go all in.
maybe not all in, but
Home to West Ham for Sunderland as well, and
yeah,
home.
the only
Yeah,
thing the only thing for me, if I was to bench boost in game week 1, the only thing for me is I would actually, and I think most people anyway will have Jared Bowen and
yeah.
probably Wan-Bissaka.
Well, talking to Jarrett Bowen, because we'll naturally move on to. Well, oh, we'll come out to Tottenham.
We
Come
don't
out
need
to
to
Tottenham.
speak about Tottenham, do we? Because we've already spoken about
Oh,
Tottenham.
we do need to speak about Tottenham. We
Okay,
always
fair
do.
enough.
Jarrett Bowen. I saw a stat earlier that in the 34 games he played, 16 of them he started as a striker last season.
Are you saying that they might reclassify him?
I think they should. Yeah. I think it makes him a much better asset. He never gets any fucking bonus.
Oh,
Anyway,
that's true.
um, I think it actually would be a good move for for uh for FPL if they made Jared Bowen. But 16 games is a lot. Like it's a huge number.
It is, but at the same time, if you think of all the strikers, if okay, so let's run through strikers, right? Think Solanke. How many
Cunha,
times has he not played striker?
Yeah,
Like
but like let's take Cunha for this season. Like it feels to me like he's Cunha of this season. Like
I
Cunha
get
or
that,
last
yeah.
season, as it were, was he was a striker, and it feels like that. There's always one of those Liverpool guys, and they're like Gakpo was a striker last season, and you're like, well, because sometimes he plays nine, sometimes he plays wing, and I'm like, if it's more the obvious thing to say, if you play more times as a midfielder than a striker, then you should be a midfielder. But I don't think it is that. I think if you can play striker and you will play a good number of games, like double-digit games as a striker, that feels to me like it should be a striker. And I think it makes the game fun.
I just can't see them
They
doing
need
it.
more fun.
I know,
No,
but I
I
just can't
probably
see
they
them
probably
doing it.
won't.
It just does. I mean, you pick Cunha out as a great example. I feel like Cunha, obviously, you look at Cunha from a outcome perspective, and it just looks like a mistake, right? It just looks like he should
Yeah,
have been a midfielder. But
yeah.
outside of that, there aren't any other like Marino. I don't know what they're going to do with Arsenal, Havertz, Marino, and all that lot. But you look at all the other strikers from all the other teams. You look at Watkins; he never plays anything but striker. You look at Evan Nilsson, nothing ever but striker. Wissa, same. Uh,
You wouldn't
João
have him any
Pedro
different
a
than
little
Marmoush,
bit,
though, would
maybe.
you? You wouldn't have him any different than Marmoush. Obviously, Marmoush came in as a striker, but I'm like, if you keep Bowen as a midfielder, then Marmoush has to be a midfielder.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
You know, if Cunha is a midfielder, which we expect Cunha to be a midfielder,
Yeah, I'd expect Cunha to move to midfield.
um, but
It's really
they need
strangling what a striker is, and sometimes you. The problem is you have to have a striker in a team, like from a fantasy perspective. But
mm-mm.
in a real life perspective, like these teams don't necessarily need strikers anymore. Not all of
Yeah,
them
yeah,
need them, right? You don't need a default number nine. Arsenal did it for ages. Like City did it without Haaland. Um, Liverpool have done it for what seems like 2 years now almost.
yeah. They've got to get some more £8 million plus strikers into this game. Yeah, because it enables you to move between them. You don't like stick on this 6 million like type things and stuff. You've got to get some players that are around that kind of 8.5 million striker that you've got to push the boat out. You've got a budget for it, or even like if that player gets injured, you're like, fuck, where do I go here? Type stuff. Like because then it creates that sort of almost risk-free reward, a bit more planning required.
Yeah,
If you can just go, like I said here, if I could just go, what I'll do is I'll start in game week one with Jared Bowen, which looks obvious. Start him at one, and if Verts becomes, I've got to go there, then I could go there. But if he doesn't, then I don't really care because I've got Tottenham Palace, Everton in 4 to 6. Just stick with him.
yeah.
Like at the moment, if Jared Bowen is there and Foden's there, and they're the same price in midfielders, I'm going Jared Bowen. I kind of want something that's going to make me make a bit more of a decision there. Um, it's a good opening run.
Yeah,
We did we both start game week one with Dominic Solanke in our teams last season? I think we did.
I can't remember, mate. I didn't do a review. I didn't. I wanted to forget last season
Are we doing a review at any point?
of my season.
We can do.
I was top 10k in game week 2,
This is true.
and that's where my season ended. Like a stop the count type vibes. Definitely stop the count type vibes. If I do, I need to get on it soon. Reviewing my season. What did I learn?
Well,
Pick
maybe
better
that could be a
players, score
little.
more points.
What we could do with yours as a little sidetrack is, I've often said this. We've got many, many good friends with this pod, and you could do a little like Patreon series. Do some little firesides. Get like Harry, get Praz, all those good guys. Get some things. I definitely think I've often said for you, but I think uh, our good friend Johnny Spaceman, um, as a man who knows how to through analytics, dial up risk, take some stuff, things that would float your boat um, more is definitely one where it's pick the brains off would be a bit of fun. Are you keeping the team name?
You tell me, mate. We had a bet again.
Did we?
I think so. I think it said same again. I think I just said same again next this season, and you went, "Yep, let's do it."
So I get
Because
to choose your team name
because you
again.
hadn't finished below me in 5 years. You were like, "Yeah, I'll just take that bet, thanks."
Well, the chat, not in the live chat, in the comments after the chat, if anyone wants to start putting suggestions in, then because we've got to got to get them going early on, then
Well, yeah,
feel
because I
free
need
to.
I need a team name to put in when my ID is like 8 or something like that.
Yeah. Um, A Dawson in the chat said that Antonio played the other night during the internationals,
I
which was
saw that.
incredible,
I saw
but
that.
he is also out of contract in 2 weeks.
It's not as ideal. Um, just to
Uh,
circle back because we've done every team apart from Wolves.
I haven't done Tottenham.
Oh, we haven't done Tottenham. Okay,
We
right.
haven't done Tottenham.
We need to do Tottenham.
For Tottenham, we both started game week 1
Oh, this is
with
why you
Dominic
asked about
Solanke.
Solanke. Okay,
Both started game week 1 with Dominic Solanke. Um,
might do it again. Yeah.
I'm fucking 100% doing it again. Mark and Bryson, whatever he fucking likes, he's going in my game week 1 team. You can just nail that on now.
Yeah, I mean, why the hell not? I mean, we were convinced that the striker last year was going to, hugely benefit from Angie's get down the width and cut it back to striker who scores. And now we've got basically we're trying to replicate what Johan Wissa does, which is basically just have big chances all the time.
And if Son goes, even if Son doesn't go, I think it just depends now.
Pens, yeah, Pens as well, yeah.
I think there just is now.
Why not?
He's certainly going to be on the pitch more than everybody else, but I just think it we is Pens to lose, unless somehow we sign Bumo and then suddenly that changes everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think I will have Dominic Solanke in my team as soon as they came, I was like, well, that's that then.
It's such a difficult one. I mean, I said it. I know that obviously it's going to be the Champions League is going to be the bit that causes us a problem.
Mm.
But the start's relatively soft, and as I said, like I don't mind playing City in game week 2. I think that's an opportunity.
No.
I think that we have a relatively good idea about how Tottenham will set up. I don't feel like, unless there's a couple of very specific targets in mind, I don't feel like we're going to go mental in the transfer market trying to break banks and all sorts of stuff. I feel like this is going to be a season where Thomas Frank gets to know and understands the players, and I think he'll have clear plans for how to attack each team.
I'd love Maddo to be cheap and be fit, obviously.
Backroom and the behind the scenes stuff today. There was obviously like the extended version of Thomas Frank talking to. Do we call him Thomas Frank or do we just call him Frank? Because every time I say Frank,
this conversation.
I feel very I just don't like saying Frank because all I think about is Frank Lampard, and I'm just like I just don't want to do it.
I think we're in a really awkward space with what do we call Thomas Frank. And I think
you've done
just
it.
have to full name him. I think we probably have to full name him. I've noticed myself on text calling him Frank. I don't mind calling him Frank on a text, but like you say, as soon as you said it out loud, I'm like, Frank. I mean, there's that old thing in it of don't trust people that have 2 first names as their name, and I kind of get it. Because it's weird. What do you call him?
Should we just call him Thomas?
I don't know. I don't know.
Tommy?
Tommy. I think you've got Thomas. I think you've got a full name.
Yeah, Thomas Frank. Okay.
Thomas Frank.
Sorry, yeah. So behind the scenes, spoke to Maddison, and first thing he asked him was, "How's the recovery?" Because Maddison said he went to see a specialist yesterday or whenever, the day before it was filmed, and he said, "Yeah, he was on track. Everything was doing good." Same with Dragoshin, actually. Both said they were on track. I don't know what on track means in terms of date, but
I thought Dragonson was more like Christmas anyway, but that's hopefully.
You still got they've got 2 months, right? Or Madders has got 2 months.
Matters is the interesting one. Matters is definitely the interesting one. I mean, he got 133 points this last season. He got more points than Brennan. Did he? Up there? Not quite. Brennan got 137. He got more points than Son though. Madders last season.
It feels like none of them played a huge amount of minutes. I don't. Just feels like they didn't play a huge amount of minutes. I don't know. Maybe I'm lying there, but I'm just
Here you go.
assuming everybody had
Let me show
injuries.
you this. Let me show you this. Is on the FPL website. You know how they have the fantastic stats that they like to have on that. He was the 16th player out of 347 for points per match.
That's quite high.
16th player in the league, 4.3. And I think it's only better when it comes to Frank with it. And Kulusevski's definitely not going to be fit for the start of the season.
No, definitely not.
So yeah, Matters is interesting. Slank is definitely interesting. I think that's it.
Yeah. Shout out to United Ultra, by the way, in the chat, who is just constantly
Giving us all the
speaking,
facts, isn't he?
knows everything, chatting away. Be more United Ultra.
Wolves.
I'm worried for him a little bit. Like, and again,
Sarabia went to Qatar today.
sorry.
Sarabia has signed in
Yes.
Qatar, so
Yeah.
he's gone. So
Sarabia's
Sarabia's gone
gone.
on.
Cunha's gone. Eight Nori's gone. Dawson's gone. Just feels like there's a lot of players.
Jose Sarr, is he still there? He's got to
Yeah,
go at
they've
some point,
just
hasn't
they've just picked up some kid from Celta Vigo or Villarreal or something like that.
he?
Surprised it
But
wasn't
we
just
don't know who's
another
on pens
Portuguese
now,
mid.
do we? Don't know on pens if Cunha and Sarabia's gone.
Be Huang if he's fit.
Hwang, can't be Hwang back, can we?
He's still there.
Manetzi and Strand Larsen, obviously the obvious
Strand Larsen.
guys,
Yeah,
but
Strand Larsen.
we're not going near them.
No, not. Definitely
We're
not.
not going near them.
Definitely not.
Nah.
Definitely not.
Manetzi, if Manetzi is like was last season, like a £4.5 million midfielder, whatever it was, if he's even like a 5.0 midfielder, then he could be. He could be that fifth mid.
I definitely here is a learning. I need to remember this. Is that very often last season I looked at a lot of people's teams that were doing fantastically compared to mine, and I looked at their benches and they were terrible. Like, how often did I look at your bench? I mean, you did well. I'm going to say this, be honest. How often did I look at your bench and you're like, I need to get rid of these two players, but I'm just going to park them on my bench? And you had players in there for absolutely ages that you hated, but just stayed there. And every time I looked at
Still,
my bench, I had all the players. I had like all these players that do well. I had all
yeah.
this average crap that did okay, but the average stuff on my bench meant that I also did average stuff in my team, and I wasn't able to actually have the better players in the 11. I need to remember that. Do not build a 15, which is almost why maybe game week 1 bench boost might still come into my thinking.
There's that whole fine line though, isn't there? Of I had a shit bench all season, which enabled me to get points on the pitch or pounds on the pitch, which is something that I've always tried to do, is get as many pounds on the pitch as possible. Now, last season wasn't as important as other seasons. I think it really will be important this season. I can't see a world in which not. Hey, we could have some injuries and stuff. That mean it is, but I think I've also said that I'd never got free transfers, and if I had stronger depth, then it's easier to roll, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'd have taken your
So,
season over my season every time.
of course,
So,
but yeah, I think I'll always try and if I can force a 4.0 defender. And I'll always have at least one attacker if I can. If I can under 5, like a 5 or a 4.5. I think 5.5 is the kind of most I'd spend on my 8th attacker. But ideally, I'd like
yeah.
somebody cheaper than that. I'd like, it's always in my mind that I want one 4.0 defend keeper, one 4.0 defender, at least one 4.5 defender, and then at least one of my attackers to be 5.0 or less.
I'm just trying to recall like who you had as your cheap eighth attacker, because I mean you did the review of your season on um
Patreon.
yes. I was going to say Anupla, but somebody pointed out very
I did use some Manipula. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but
FPL
it's not.
Statistica errors.
But yeah, anupla.net, which basically spells a new planet, which somebody pointed out,
Yeah.
which we'd never seen, I'd never even
No,
noticed before.
not at any point had I worked out that a nuclear might be in that planet. Um,
But how often did you use 343? Like how, you can't play 343 as a regular thing with a 5 million, unless your 5 million guy is João Pedro, right? Or I guess
yeah.
that's about it.
I started the season with this last season with a 4.5 mid, a 4.0 defender, a 4.0 um, keeper, and two 4.5 defenders.
Who is your 4.5 mid?
Sangare.
Oh yeah, of course it was.
Like you'd never do that. Not in a million years. Sangare and Ben Johnson were in my game week one. But I didn't
But,
start very well. So that doesn't work out
well, I
too
mean,
well.
I started with a 4 mil defender, 4 mil keeper. I had a 5-5 attacker. A bit heavier in midfield. But I did have a five. Oh, well, no, I had a 5 million midfielder as well as my eighth
Hmm.
attacker. Well, I had a 5 and then a 5-5 in my eight. And I played 3-4-3. And then was top 10k the following week. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Fun at games. But yeah, Wolves as the last one. Don't see myself going there. Obviously got a soft spot for Agbadu because, he had one good game for me. Um, uh, they do get a little bit of the fixtures. So if you were sitting on them and you thought you were going to go sort of a later wild card like 8, 9, 10, Sunderland, Burnley, Fulham. You've also got Brighton at home and Palace at home. So if you did need them, you could have them a bit later, but all
Yeah.
depends on wildcard windows. I am more open right now on a later wildcard, I think, than I've been on it before. I've never done it though, so I think I'd be really tempted to, as in order to be able to get myself into that brain of how to do it, I probably need to speak to some analytical, mostly analytics guys in there that do the later wildcards. So, I don't really know how you get yourself into that position. You've obviously got to be more nailed on minutes, more resistant to those things. And you're like, well, do I want to play that way? Is it really ever going to be me? But I definitely think it would be something that I'll want to explore of what does it take to get there. And then once I learn it, you're like, will I enjoy the game? Because ultimately, it's always that thing in it. Is you still want to play the game in the way that you'll enjoy the game.
Yes.
If I said like, right, I'm going to wild card in game week 19, and I knew that actually what was going to happen is I was going to squirm my way for 18 weeks, then I'd be like, well, just that's not fun.
Yeah, because you've premeditated to yourself what you're going to do. I don't like having that kind of. I feel like that's inflexible. Like if you're,
Well, I think it's okay as long as you know what it requires to get there, and you've put in the right parameters around yourself to do it. But then, like you say, once you start putting those in, you're like, is this me? Because I think what that would mean is to get to something like game week 19. I suspect what our analytical friends would tell us would be have no 4.0 defenders, have, a couple of 4.5s, potentially two playing keepers, potentially, 15 playing players, and don't get fancy. And
yeah,
I
just
fucking love getting
roll with
fancy.
the punches.
When I
Roll
look
with the
at when I
punches.
look
Take
at
it.
this,
Take a two
because
pointer for the benefit of a transfer to
yeah,
to change the path further down the line, and then just allow points to come to you a little bit. I can see it.
yeah,
I can see it. Again, I feel. Yeah, I will get the temptation, and I will get a moment where I'll be like, oh, I want to do this, or something will change, something will come up. The two. definitely the early top 10k triple captain success last year changed my thinking because I wasn't gonna. I was like gonna wild card. I was gonna get 5 transfers in the bank. I was gonna then think about making a mini wild card and then not having to wild card till like going week 8. And then I
Mm,
went, oh, you know what? I'm top 10k. Let me now just pivot to something that I think is going to really work or something that should work over the next 7 or 8 weeks, and then move on from there and continue to build transfers. And that didn't quite work for whatever reason.
yeah.
I went from 10k to 2 million in about. I mean, and obviously everything's squeezed at that point, but it took about 5 weeks, and I was outside the top 2.5 million.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was a chip
It
down. I was a chip down on everyone.
it is the only thing on sort of like later wildcard as well. There's a guy I don't know, Fulham fan at FPL Sofo. I'm actually, but good guy watches us quite regularly. But he went, historically got some incredible ranks. Um, went late on wildcard. Now it didn't play out for him. Like, was in a really good position up to that, but actually didn't really gain off of at all going from late wild card. Now, some of the things that didn't help from that, one was literally like 2 million down in team value
Yeah,
because had to be more resistant. So wasn't chasing stuff, wasn't moving stuff around, didn't have the early wild card, which always makes you like £1 million in price changes. Um, and then secondly, when do the unexpected fixtures start diving in and do that stuff? They all happened like mid game week 20s.
yeah.
So if you do your wild card in game week 19, you don't know any of that shit yet. So did it, I think, tripled up on Palace over the double, then it ends up with the Liverpool one and everyone and chaos reigned and everything. And suddenly you've gone from I'm in a really, really good position. I should now have this optimal team that's going to be fantastic me through game week 20 to 30 and then set me up to that late wild card. But shit changed and suddenly I've lost all my benefit in one go just because Premier League decided let's put some fixtures in there. You shared that tweet for me as well earlier, didn't you? Of we
Yeah,
could have more unexpected
we
changes.
could. There were some people that was like, this is more Saturday to Sunday, Saturday to Friday type scenarios, but
Mm,
it will also just almost set a precedent that, if they give this warning, they will move some games from Saturday to Sunday, but then they'll
mm.
also move a game from Saturday to Wednesday, and they'll go, "We told you," right? you know, oh, Saturday
Exactly.
to
They've got that thing. I
6 weeks
can just,
time.
tap the sign. Tap the
Like, yeah,
sign.
exactly. You do that so often in chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Just as a reminder, I
Um,
said this. This is what we
yeah.
said.
Tap the side. So they'll tap the side if they need to now. Um, and you're like, later wild cards, you can get the rug pulled away from you, and you've lost ground potentially.
Yeah,
Like how, that's I always think this game you have to think about how do I still have fun with it, and two is like what will one of the ways of having fun with it is when the game starts beating you up, how will your mental state be? Like, would I, if I was planning to like wild card in game week 19 and or 17, let's go, probably 17 it would be, wouldn't it? Because it's
Afcon.
Afcon and all that stuff. But if I had like five, six red arrows in a row, if I was 3.5 million after game week 9, if I was 3.5 million in game week 17, would I have the, would I have been able to hold my
I was
nerve
going
to
to
have
say
got to that point?
it's more a case of it's more a case of you're still 3.5 million in game week 9. Like, can you get to game week 17 without changing anything?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
knowing that Liverpool, City, Newcastle have these runs from 13.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm
I'm
not
not
sure.
sure. So
Maybe we're not good enough at the strategy and never will be good enough at the strategy that we should. That was my feeling last season was like, I don't think I'm ever going to be invested enough in the strategy to make up my own strategy or understand what the requirements are to deliver that strategy in a really, really good way. Um, is I can look at it and go, yeah, well, I can see why you do that and do that and do that. But it's about how you manage the week to week to enable that strategy to pay off.
yeah,
Whereas if you just go the chalk strategy, I'll always think this is that me and you watch a lot of football. We talk about every single game of the season. Surely our strength should be in player picks, not in strategy.
Yeah.
Work it out in a month, will we? How long do you reckon?
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
That's what you
I
reckon.
saw Andy, Let's Talk Andy, said that 2 out of the last 3 years, it was released on the 5th of July. He's
That's
not sure.
long, is it?
He's not sure whether that will happen again. He knows that date because that's his birthday, and so that's a Saturday this year, and so it could be the day before, could be the Monday, but it's going to be somewhere around there, which gives around 5 to 6 weeks of prep, basically. I think 5 weeks is fine. I guess it depends if they're going to change anything, bring anything new in. It's mentioned already. FPL Lars mentioned the Assman chip. Will that stay? How will that look? Will it? We don't know this stuff, so we know that Mark's in there, and we know that they might be asking him about certain things. So you would think they would need time to consult, discuss, agree, test, implement before it all goes live. So hopefully, we get something that's good. I mean, let's be Thomas Frank here. Going to use that.
Nice.
We looked at the Assman chip, the mystery chip last year, and we went, they haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing yet. That's how we all approached it. We were like, they have no idea what they're doing. They'll make it up at some point. They're testing it now. They're testing a few things. They don't know what they're doing. They're going to call it a mystery chip because they don't know, and they'll release it later on when they've worked it out. I feel like we're going to feel they're more organised this year. I don't think it wasn't. I don't think that one will go away. I think assistant manager will stay.
Yeah.
And I think the parameters have to stay as well. I think it has to be a second half of the season chip because it can't be an early season chip.
And ultimately,
there's no way table bonus
speculate, but what's the point, is it? We'll work it out. We'll work it out when we see it. Work it out when we see it. That's the last thing we can work through. So we've got a couple of weeks off.
Yeah, we probably won't do anything. We might do, as you say. Let's have a chat on Patreon about my season gone by, but we won't do that. Nobody really wants to listen to that in the public space. You can come and watch on Patreon if you want to. Of course they do. Nobody cares about my season, mate. 500,000. I've been 500,000 every season.
Everybody can learn from people talking.
This is true. Learn what not to do. Listen to me.
So by the time we're back, we'll hopefully would have any other cosmetic stuff we would have worked through. People, let us know. Let us know if you got to this part of the video. Let us know your thoughts on the graphics that you're seeing so far. This is how we're looking to move with ours for next year, next season. And also let us know who you'd like to see with us in pre-season. We like to get lots of guests in, some football, some FPL, mix it up. But if you've been around for a while, you'd have seen people before on the channel and know who you liked. But please let us know.
Yep, do that. Do all the good stuff. Firstly, shout out as always to Crypto Block Dan for supporting and sponsoring the podcast. Shout out to Alex Volo for the new overlay. It looks fantastic. We wanted the bigger, better, bolder kind of view, and it's worked, we think, over the main view. And when we're looking at data, hopefully we've maximized as much as we can the ability to switch between views. So now that I almost have to act as like a producer at the same time, but that's absolutely fine. I don't mind doing that. We'll fix Stream Deck so you don't get a little pink flash in front of everything. Let us know what you think of those. As we say, we're going to be continuing to just tweak those so that it looks as good as we can get it. If you want to join us over, I don't know whether I've got this one set up yet. I think I do. Patreon.com/AboveAverageFPL. We can't thank you all, but we do thank you all for those that join us. If you want to get involved in all the games and everything, the mini league that we do in there, all sorts of games going on. We'll figure out a few new cool things to do in the new season as well. We're going to lose one game, I think, unfortunately, related to So Rare, but we'll try and replace it with something else that's just as good. So you can scan the QR code, patreon.com/above average FPL if you want to join there. That is the last we'll do on that for now. But yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do is to hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more from us during pre-season. Baker's already mentioned tons of guests coming up, tons of content. We're going to be talking about player prices, player positions, transfers coming in. There's football chat, FPL chat, other chat going on, free stuff on Patreon, all sorts of stuff going on. It's going to be chaotic. We're obviously going to Fantasy Football Fest as well for game week 1, which is going to be pretty cool. Is everybody going to captain Salah on the Friday night first game? That is going to be wild and fun. So
that is going to be wild.
If you want to come down to say hello to anyone, actually, to be fair, I feel like I got some unfair critique last year on Reddit. So I'm gonna be more sociable, and I'm not drinking, and just I'll be better company if anyone thinks I wasn't.
Didn't confirm you wouldn't be smoking.
I did not confirm that.
Or swearing.
Swearing will happen. That just happens all the time.
We are potentially considering. Where is it? We are potentially considering new coasters. Potentially considering. We've had 2 coasters running for a number of seasons now. This one and this one. The logo one will definitely stay. We love the logo one. But we'll probably replace this one. Not that we don't think that people have it aren't above average, but you've got to mix it up a little bit. And we are also considering a new mug design. So people, let us know what you think. Very interesting.
The final thing we do need to discuss, and this is something me and you need to discuss offline, possibly with Dan, and maybe someone else, is that we're coming up to 10,000 subs on YouTube. So we're going to think of something that we're going to do for somebody in the YouTube community as well when we hit 10K subs, which will happen in pre-season. I just know it. It will happen in pre-season. So
it will.
Try and think of something incredible to give away. Haven't figured it out yet. But, again, comment what you might want. I mean, this is not Santa's Christmas list, right? You're not going to be able to get everything. But
we could do a hot wing stream for 10K.
No, let's not go there again. I'm done.
Have you had any chicken wings since that stream?
I still had like 4 boxes of those blooming things, so I had to eat the rest of them. Mate, to be fair, if they're not so let's just to be fair, when they were cooked properly, like not overcooked and sitting there for ages, they're actually really nice. It took me a few days to go back and eat some.
I immediately after the stream threw all the sauces straight in the bin.
Oh mate, they're in a box. I put them in a box away. I was like, I don't know whether I'm ever going to touch them again.
I was like, I'm not going to look at those sauces ever again. Those sauces went straight in the bin. I took whatever was in my room, emptied everything out of it, and was like, see you later. I am never looking at you wings again. I've had wings since, but yeah.
Incredible.
Still, we were fresher than after the fireballs streams. So.
I wasn't. I was not. I was not in a good place. I was not in a good place, but I'm still here. Still going.
Still here.
Well, that's it.
Right,
we're good. We're done. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us. There's some comments on who they want to see already. Drop them in the comments. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks when everything has settled, the game has come out, or something interesting comes up, basically. Catch you in a bit.
See you in a bit, mate.